Ever since the Wright brothers first took to the sky in the early 20th century, mankind has been constantly expanding the potential of what's possible while flying. But maybe we forget sometimes the Greek myth of Icarus, who too learned to fly, but ended up melting his wings and disappearing into the sea. In his memory, we bring you this slice of aviation history, some of the most mysterious incidents where airplanes have just disappeared out of thin air. But before we get into this mysterious journey, let our videos appear on your screen by clicking on subscribe and bell icon. Let's start with Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart was an aviation pioneer and an American cult hero, the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean and the holder of many distance, speed, and altitude records. In June 1937, at the age of 39, she, along with her navigator Fred Noonan, left Miami in their quest to circumnavigate the globe. After crossing Africa and the Indian Ocean, the duo reached New Guinea with just 7,000 miles left to complete their journey. They took off on July 2nd, but never reached their destination of Howland Island, disappearing somewhere across the Central Pacific. A 2-week-long search and rescue operation involving 66 aircraft and 9 ships costing over $4 million didn't turn up any sign of either the aviators or their Lockheed Electra aircraft. Many conjurers have been made to explain the disappearance, ranging from the simple "they ran out of fuel" explanation to the complex "they were spying on Japanese military establishments," and even the absurd "they were abducted by aliens." Some people even believe that Earhart returned to America and lived out the rest of her life under an assumed name. We'll never know for sure what happened, but she lives on as a legend and an inspiration. Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370. The story of Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370 is baffling because it takes place in the era of modern satellite technology and high-resolution imaging, where it seems impossible that something as huge as a jet plane can vanish. On March 8, 2014, this Boeing 777-200ER took off on schedule from Kuala Lumpur, headed to Beijing with 227 passengers and 12 crew on board. Everything appeared normal 38 minutes after takeoff when the pilots made their last radio communication with the Kuala Lumpur air traffic control, but then the bizarre happened. The aircraft disappeared from the radar screens. A multinational search effort ensued and became the most expensive ever. First focusing on the South China Sea, the search was soon expanded to cover over 60,000 square kilometers of the southern Indian Ocean after it emerged that military radar screens had tracked the aircraft making a sharp southwest deviation from its intended flight path. The search remained unsuccessful, and many theories have been advanced to explain the disappearance, such as hypoxia of the pilots, hijacking, and explosive material in the cargo. Debris from the ill-fated MH370 has since washed up on the shores of Reunion Island, over 5,600 kilometers away from the last known location of the aircraft. Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571. The gruesome and miraculous story of Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 has been the subject of many books, documentaries, and feature films, including the Hollywood blockbuster Alive. The charter plane with 45 passengers and crew crashed into the Andes Mountains en route from Montevideo to Santiago, and the fuselage of the plane slid down a mountain into a glacier. Search efforts began immediately, and the authorities flew several times over the crash site, but to no avail. The search was called off after 8 days, and all lives on board were presumed to be lost. But this was not the case. Some of the passengers had survived the crash and held onto their lives in the terribly harsh mountain conditions. 2 of them undertook to climb the mountains without any equipment and hiked 10 days to reach help in Chile. Helicopters immediately went to the rescue and found 14 other survivors, 72 days after their plane had disappeared. The Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is a fabled stretch of ocean that has become a part of aviation legend. Not one, but two of at least 7 aircraft have been known to have explicitly disappeared in this area. On December 5, 1945, a group of 5 Grumman torpedo bombers of the U.S. Navy was undergoing a routine navigation and combat training exercise north of the Bahamas when they lost contact with the Naval Air Station in Fort Lauderdale in Florida, and none of the planes returned. A search team was dispatched in a Martin PBM Mariner flying boat, but that airplane also disappeared. In 1948 and 1949, 2 Tudor 4 aircraft of the British South American Airways called Star Tiger and Star Ariel also mysteriously disappeared without a trace while en route to Bermuda. No conclusive reasonings have ever been found to explain any of these aircraft disappearances, and they remain unsolved to this day. Indian Air Force Antonov 32. The Russian-origin military transport aircraft with 29 people on board took off their Tambaram Air Force Base in Chennai in rough monsoon weather in June 2016. A short while into its journey to Port Blair, the plane lost radar contact and disappeared without any distress signal. This started the most massive search operation for a missing plane at sea in India's history. It lasted over 50 days using 28 ships, a submarine, and over 1,000 hours of aircraft flight time. This was not the first time an Indian Air Force Antonov 32 airplane has vanished without a trace. In March 1986, one of a group of 3 aircraft returning from the Soviet Union disappeared while flying over the Arabian Sea and was never found. VARIG Flight 967. This Boeing 707 cargo freighter took off from Narita International Airport in Tokyo on the 30th of January 1979 en route to Los Angeles, Lima, and Rio de Janeiro. The plane was 30 minutes into its journey about 200 kilometers away from Tokyo when it was lost to contact radio. The tower controllers immediately declared an emergency, and aircraft and ships searched the area for 8 days, but no wreckage or any trace of aircraft or the 6 crew members was ever found. The captain Araujo de Sevilla was extremely experienced and was considered a hero in Brazil and France for saving countless lives in 1973 when he crash-landed a burning aircraft away from densely inhabited areas of Paris. Notably, the cargo VARIG Flight 967 contains paintings valued at over $1.2 million that were being returned from an exhibition in Tokyo, sparking off a theory of a possible heist. But none of these paintings have ever surfaced since. This remains the only incident involving a Boeing 707 where the cause is unknown. That's our list. Apart from these, there are many other airplanes that have disappeared in mysterious circumstances. Do you know of any? Let us know in the comments below. And also if you have any explanations for the bewildering disappearances you've seen in this video. Stay tuned and subscribe to Wow Factor for more stunning videos like this.